This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome, everyone, to the GSMC Sports Podcast, brought to you once again by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, as always, Jeff Malinoff, and with me is my partner in crime, Mark Souza.
What's up?
Yes, hello. Welcome, everybody. How are y'all doing this Tuesday morning as this is recorded, because I realize this isn't live just now? Shoot.
You can still ask people how they're doing, and they'll respond in their head like, I'm
yeah.
doing okay.
Or you can Instagram or tweet us at Jeff Malinoff for me and
at Mark Hella Gets It. That's Hella like Northern California. Gets it.
You got to change that.
Nope.
Okay, fine.
That is you know what's funny? Everybody who says, when I give them that, they're like, man, that's an awesome name.
Really?
And you're the only one that's like, it sucks.
Well, I mean, like, I don't think it sucks. I just think it's like, I hate Hella. Like, I've used it my whole life and I still don't like it.
So what are you going to do? It's a piece of all of us.
Especially in California.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, we got some things to talk about today. We got Monday Night Football. We got the Raiders firing their general manager, Reggie McKenzie, and John Gruden's press conference about that, which was interesting to say the least. We got LeBron and Dwayne Wade's final game against each other. We're going to talk about that and other NBA roundups. So let's get right into the Raiders first. And Reggie McKenzie has been fired after the win against the Steelers this Sunday by a slip of a miracle. See what I did there? Because he slipped and fell. Yeah. Anyway, okay, that was weird. Anyways, but yes, McKenzie is fired, and John Gruden's press conference yesterday, the 10th of December, was interesting to say the least. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. John Gruden sat up there and acted like everybody else was a bunch of idiots, and
like
he
we
is
didn't
the
know.
Smartest person in the room.
He's like, "Oh, we were connected. Pretty sure you traded all the guys he drafted that were top players to other teams for draft picks, and you drafted a guy this season that's done virtually nothing."
I think it's interesting though that. And I totally believe this, that the Raiders waited until they won another game to fire him so they could kind of bury this behind the joy of their fans that they had won a game. And, oh, by the way, we were going to let go of our general manager. Like, I'm pretty sure that's how it went down. Like, yeah, that you can say that I'm assuming because I absolutely am. But, you know, it makes sense business-wise. Like, we'll bury this news in the midst of all of our fans being really happy right now. Because what was the timing? Because we're talking about the season being 4 games away from being over. You fire the general manager, who most thought he was already on his way out anyways. But the timing just feels totally like it was waiting for a win.
Yes, it was like, it wasn't like, hey, here's some worse news. It was like, hey, we won. We fired Reggie McKenzie. Yay, we won.
Mm-hmm.
It was just to dodge that whole thing.
My problem isn't they fired him. My problem is that John Gruden's acting like everyone doesn't know what's going on, or he doesn't know what's going on. Like, hey, we know what's up, man. You're getting paid $100 million to be the head coach, which means you're the king of the castle, which means you have a lot of power, a lot of say in who stays and who goes. And the writing has been on the wall for Reggie McKenzie for quite some time. Since the day you were hired, everybody thought, well, that makes the general manager's job kind of pointless because the coach will have more power than the general manager. You gave the coach a 10-year contract. The general manager does not have nearly the same contract or the length of time. Come on.
I think the main thing about that is John Gruden had a stake in ownership too. That put him like way above McKenzie right away.
It's just very disingenuous to tell the people in the room that you had no idea that this was happening.
He had all the say in the world. It's almost guaranteed, right?
Absolutely. Look, let's put it this way. Mark Davis is not... Let's just assume for 1 minute that this was totally Mark Davis, okay? Mm-hmm. Just play along with me.
I'm playing.
Let's just assume that John Gruden knew nothing of this, and Mark Davis approached him on one afternoon and said, you know what, John? I think what we have going here, I'm still very excited about this, but I think we got to let Reggie go because, I think there's someone else out there we can get, or I trust you with the decision-making when it comes to personnel. What do you think? So if we're assuming that John Gruden still knew that it was going to happen, I guarantee you this move was not just made in the middle of the night without John Gruden knowing anything about this possibility, right? He can say that it wasn't his decision, and that could be true. I wouldn't agree with that, but I could at least hear that argument, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that how he wanted people to know he reacted was, that Pikachu meme where the Pikachu's like, oh, shocked.
Like the surprise face?
Yeah. That's what John Gruden was trying to play off of. That was his reaction. What? He got fired?
Yeah.
So unexpected.
It's like that commercial you're talking about. What is that? The only thing that'd be crazy if my mom showed up. Oh, my God.
What commercial is that?
What is it?
That's so out of context.
That's what he goes, so unexpected. Anyway,
zero clue what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Okay.
But
is it like they knew they were going to be
I'm trying
there?
to remember what the product is. I can't. That's the problem
Was
here.
it an Alzheimer's pill or something?
It's a current commercial right now. No, it's like, well, the only thing make this moment better is if my mom were here, and then poof, she shows up. Oh my God, so unexpected.
Sounds like a weird genie commercial or something.
It's a
what was it? State Farm is there with a hot tub, and then they get a hot tub. It's like that kind of thing.
So going back to the Raiders and John Gruden, I mean, look,
this was going to happen as soon as Gruden got the contract.
Yeah, let's be honest. Exactly right. You're talking about a guy that's getting paid $100 million over 10 years. His job is not just to coach the on-field product. His job is to also find players that he wants. He's going to pick the groceries, as I like to say, right? You brought in this gourmet chef at your 5-star restaurant, and you're trying to tell me that someone else is going to pick the groceries for him? No, I think he's going to find his own ingredients. What do you think about that?
No, I totally agree with you. And thank you to isjohngrudenfiredyet.com, because now I know that since he's been signed, he has made $9.2 million. Pretty sure McKenzie's not made that much a part of the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
So it's truly like, who has the power there? We all knew John Gruden had the power immediately as he signed on the dotted line. This was all expected, like we were talking about. And this was just... And obviously, as soon as he traded away Khalil Mack and traded away Amari Cooper, the guys McKenzie's drafted, then it was almost like this was a foregone conclusion. Mm-hmm. It was basically set in stone.
The best 2 picks that McKenzie made in his tenure. Yeah. I mean, he had some misses.
Those were his real. Oh yeah, but those were his those were his franchise guys.
And even rookie cornerback Garyon Connolly, who had some issues last year in his rookie year, he's played very well this year. He's actually the one player on defense for the Raiders who is showing up in, Pro Football Focus top DBs and in those types of lists. I can actually say that he looks like he's been a good draft pick, even though when they drafted him, he had that sexual assault allegation. Things are looking really murky with that, but he's been able to stay clean and not in the media when it comes to off the field stuff. So credit to him. But yeah, Derek Carr is pretty much the only remaining pick that the Raiders took that was Reggie McKenzie.
And he might be gone also. I can see him getting cut by this offseason, wouldn't you?
I could see it.
I know he got signed to that massive deal, but
they
if
do have an out in his contract. That's the thing.
That's what I think Gruden's going to use that out. That's what I was getting at.
It's totally possible. It's totally possible. I would say right now, I'm probably 75-25 that he stays, but I could be swayed. You know what? It would not shock me one bit, but I do think that with what's out there on the free agent market, I don't think the Raiders are going to pick a quarterback with their first pick in the draft. And if they don't, then like that's how it goes for me. If they cut Carr, they'll pick a quarterback there. If they don't cut Carr, they won't draft a quarterback there.
If they cut Carr, then Gruden's going to be like, okay, whoever I draft is going to be my guy for the next 5 years maybe.
Yeah, I mean, but
that's the plan.
When you look at the free agent list right now for quarterbacks, you're looking at a Teddy Bridgewater, Blake Bortles if he gets cut, but that's pretty much your list. That's it. That's the free agent list this year.
And Teddy Bridgewater is probably the most attractive one of the two. And John Gruden is not like a scrambling quarterback, though. He likes a pocket passer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I
honestly don't know what John Gruden likes.
Look at his two quarterbacks when he was with the Raiders and Buccaneers. They were Rich Gannon and Brad Johnson, two not fast guys in the slightest. So he likes those pocket passing.
I would say,
and he also likes pounding, and he likes the running the ball up the middle. He loves a power back. So if anything, he's going to look in free agent. He's going to push for an available power back in the free agent market. I'm not sure who's going to be available, but
Le'Veon.
He might push for him, but I don't think Le'Veon's going to go there just because the money there is not the most.
And the Raiders can offer more than pretty much anybody else. I mean, they have a lot of salary cap that they can spend
if they cut Carr too, and that's just like Carr still has a huge contract you got to think about, and also the fact that I think Le'Veon just would butt heads with Gruden also. I think that would not be a good relationship.
Yeah, but if it's all about the money for Le'Veon, then it's all about the money, you know? Like, I don't know if Le'Veon Bell is going to choose his next destination with more than a small part of it being the fit or the location. You know, like for me, you just sat out a year of football because you weren't getting paid. To me, that says, okay, whoever offers me the most money, that's where I'm going. Because and he has every right to do that. I'm not even saying that he is wrong at all. But hey, if that's his goal, maybe the Raiders will be the team that ponies up. You could see it happening. They really don't have another running back.
This is true.
It's Marshawn Lynch, it's Doug Martin, and it's
Jalen Marshawn
Richard.
Lynch is almost good as gone.
Yeah, he's probably done.
Like
he wanted to play in Oakland. Oakland's leaving. I think he's done.
He said he's IR injury. And he also said he had no interest in going to Las Vegas. So it's basically a foregone conclusion. He's done.
It'll be interesting to see where the Raiders go from here. But, man, you know what? You know also how I know that Gruden knows? Because in his press conference, he didn't even talk about hiring a GM. He talked about they're looking for an executive, which, okay.
And he said he had no idea who's going to be a person available to have that job. So he was basically saying, yeah, no one's going to be above my head. It's going to be me basically taking over the team, which was everyone's thought as soon as he signed that contract. Like we said before.
Nothing's happening like this in the organization without John Gruden. Maybe not his approval, but definitely without him
knowing.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So him saying I did not know he got fired or something like that. But it sounded like he said I wasn't aware he got fired, which is complete BS.
And another thing too, here's another thought that I have. If Mark Davis made this decision all on his own, or even if he made it with at least somebody else's opinion, why isn't Mark Davis at the press conference? Why are they sending John Gruden out there to
He lost his wig.
I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. I think it's just it's kind of like when the Redskins sent out Doug Williams to talk about the Reuben Foster thing. Like, that was an organizational decision that the Redskins made. It wasn't. That
was throwing him under the bus. That was throwing Doug Williams completely under the bus.
Yeah, and another thing too, they offered McKenzie the opportunity to stay with the team until the end of the season. That doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, this whole ordeal really doesn't make sense at all when you think about it. Just everything seems like there's different stories in different areas.
When the Raiders traded Amari Cooper, the story went like this. The Cowboys and McKenzie agreed to a deal. McKenzie came down to the practice field and said, John, the Cowboys are giving us a first-rounder for Amari Cooper. Do you want to do the deal? Let's do the deal. Amari Cooper was then pulled from practice. Okay? So no moves are being made without Gruden knowing. Like, just stand up there at the press conference and say, hey, look, I have power of personnel, and I'm trying to make the best decisions for this team. That's all you got to say, and everybody would already know that, A, but B, at least hold you accountable to it, instead of this dog and pony show that I feel like is going on.
Well, that's kind of what the Raiders season has been like, though. The Raiders season has been a pony show. Like, this is like they were primed to be this top contender for years to come. Since their 2015 season, they played extremely well. And then they jumped off a cliff and are still falling to this day. And this is going to continue in, like, I don't know. Like, we all knew when he signed a 10-year contract, these first couple of years were going to be bumpy. Maybe not this bumpy, but bumpy nonetheless. And how John Gruden's handling things and he's handling with the press makes things kind of worse, honestly.
But he's saying that everybody wants to play for the Raiders.
I don't believe him.
He's kind of like our president in head coach form.
How so?
I know the best people. It's that kind of like stance, right? Like, oh, all the best players want to play for the Raiders.
He never said the best. He said, I know a ton of guys that wants to play for Raiders.
Yeah,
it could be it's a CFL. Like it could be the Arena Football League players.
And it doesn't matter what your opinion is on politics, but it's this random chest boasting opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, what?
Yeah. But the thing is like, he could say, like, this guy wants to play for the Raiders. I heard he's very talented. It's a dude from the American Alliance Football League of America, whatever that football league is called. Mm-hmm. And which is starting in February, which I only know that is because Instagram, they put a sponsorship on Instagram. So every time I scroll a couple of things down, it's Heinz Ward in my face saying it's time for a new league or something like that.
So American Alliance Football
League. Alliance of American Football.
Alliance of American Football League in America.
Sure. I think it's just the AAFL. I think that's what it's.
The AAFL? It sounds like the AARP.
No, wait, that's the All-American Football League. I'm trying to figure out what they were called.
All right. So, anyway, I guess that's kind of where I stand on this.
They are the Alliance. Oh, they are the AAF, the Alliance of American Football. Got it.
Of America.
Yes. So the ADAA, the American. I wish there was an American Dodgeball Association of America. I would totally watch that.
When you started saying the name, I was like, "This is dodgeball."
It does sound, Alliance of American Football sounds like a dodgeball team, doesn't it?
Alliance of America Football of America.
I could totally see them accidentally thinking of that.
Mm-hmm. So do you know that McKenzie was? It hasn't even been 2 full years since he was named Executive of the Year by the NFL. Isn't that something?
Executive of the Year?
Yeah, when the Raiders made the playoffs. He was voted Executive of the Year, so not even 2 years later, he is fired.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But yeah, when you talk about it, he's probably going to be at home a lot reading a book.
Is that what you would do if you were out of work for a couple months? Would you read?
I would lie down and listen to someone read, though, for sure. And I think I have something for everyone at home that likes to listen to people read. And that is Audible. Audible, for right now, for a limited time, you can get 3 months of Audible for just $6.95 a month. That's more than half off the regular price. Give yourself the gift of listening. And while you're at it, think about giving the gift of Audible to someone on your list, your love list, your Christmas list, your enemy list, whatever list. For more, go to audible.com/GSMC book or text the code GSMC book to 500500. And with this code, you will get one audiobook, your first audiobook for free, along with 2 selected Audible original titles that are exclusive just to Audible. and in exclusive fitness programs when you start a 30-day trial. So take the time to listen on Audible. Just visit audible.com/GSMC book, or once again, text the code, the GSMC book, to 500-500. That's GSMC book to 500-500.
What happens to your decision-making when you drink? Well, after one drink, you feel confident. A few more, and calling your ex at 1 a.m. seems like a great idea. And you're pretty sure the secret to a great taco is 4-day-old macaroni. The bottom line, drunk you doesn't make great decisions. So you're risking a DUI or worse if you count on him to get you home. Plan before you party. Get home safe. Brought to you by Washington Target.
Welcome, all you lovely sports fans, to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We finished talking about the Raiders' little situation they had with Reggie McKenzie as he's been fired as the general manager. Now we're moving on to what happened last night on Monday Night Football as the Seahawks nearly shut out the Vikings 21-7. The Vikings scored a garbage touchdown in the last little minute of the game that were kind of pointless. But this was all Seahawks. Well, let's be honest, it was all in the fourth quarter that everything scored points, but the Seahawks really just dominated on the defensive front this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was an ugly football game, a lot like the Bears-Rams game we saw the other night, where and defenses are all of a sudden playing great and offenses can't do anything.
And the weird thing is, Kirk Cousins still went 20-33 with 200 yards and one touchdown. That's not very good, but that's still, positive. Russell Wilson had probably one of the worst games of his career.
He didn't throw it very much.
10 of 20 for 72 yards and an interception.
Yeah,
that was probably,
they didn't have to throw the ball. They ran the ball 42 times. They threw it 20 times.
And Russell Wilson ran the ball 7 times. So he ran as many times as he completed a pass. Almost.
Yeah.
Which is pretty insane. But
he didn't have very big passing numbers against the 49ers a week prior to. He had a few touchdowns, but he only threw the ball I want to say
he also
12, 13 times.
He rushed the ball 61 yards and he threw it 72 yards. He almost outrushed his passing, which is unheard of when you think about it. And this has to be one of his worst games ever, right?
I mean, I wouldn't say that.
I don't know.
I wouldn't even say it's one of his top 5 worst games ever. They won the game comfortably and
okay, you can say statistically.
Sure, I mean, his passing numbers weren't great, but hey, they won the game.
Anytime a quarterback throws under 100 yards, I feel like that's almost unacceptable. I know what they were trying. They ran the ball. They rushed the ball. They were using the running game very good. But when you throw for under 100 yards passing, you're not splitting everything out evenly to where you can use a play action wisely. They could have totally done a couple play action plays there and totally tricked the defense because how many times they ran the ball, no?
Yeah, I mean, I think they tried, but the fact is neither team really did a whole lot on offense, and as bad or as mediocre as Russell Wilson was, I don't think he was the worst quarterback in this game. I will say he played better than Kirk Cousins, to be quite honest with you.
And it's funny because Kirk Cousins didn't throw an interception, but I know what you mean. Yeah,
I mean, he threw a late touchdown, which makes his stats look pretty, right? He got 50 yards and a touchdown on that last drive.
It would have been 140 some odd yards and a touchdown, no touchdowns. Yeah, they both would have had terrible statistic attributes if it wasn't for that last garbage touchdown. And like you said, this game was a brutal game to watch, and it just
very boring. To be honest with you,
probably the most boring game of the year. I would put.
You don't get too many boring games with Seattle, even when their defense plays well. Like the last few years when they've had a great team and their defense has been good. You never really get boring games with them. There's a lot of action, a lot of exciting. But even this game, they played well defensively, but it just wasn't much excitement in this game whatsoever. So I think this week for the primetime games, I think we're going to see a huge pendulum swing going back in the other direction. We had 15-6 on Sunday Night Football. We had 21-7 on Monday Night Football. Two of the lowest scoring games of the season, basically. I mean, other than Jacksonville beating the Colts 6-0, I don't really know you can score less points than what we've seen in the last two primetime games, to be honest.
How about 2-0? Let's see just one safety in the game.
I'm still rooting for like a 3-2, like a nice little baseball score, you know?
Yeah, one of the weirdest scores I've ever seen was a Detroit playoff game in the 90s where the score was, I think they lost to the Cowboys 11-5 or something like that.
No, that was Rams, I think.
No,
right?
no. That was Rams and Buccaneers too, but that also happened in Detroit because I remember it might have been they had 5 points. That's all I remember. It was maybe no, it might have actually been 5-0, which is even weirder. But Tampa Bay and you're right, Tampa Bay and St. Louis had a game in 1999 NFC
2000, 11-6.
It was the NFC Championship game, 11-6. There was a game where it was
show on turf too.
Well, against one of the top defenses in the league at the time. It was Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks just dominating. But there was a game where Detroit had 5 points in a playoff game, I remember. And I was just like, what? How is that possible?
Yeah, it's pretty hard, to be honest with you. So Seattle, though, they take care of business, man. They're 8-5. I think they pretty much wrapped up a wild card berth yesterday. They're most likely going to play the Cowboys or the Bears. I mean, that's how it's going to look, right? They're going to play either the third or fourth place team, probably the worst of the division winners, which I'm assuming will be the Cowboys, but it could be the Bears. Who knows? Still 3 games left. But Minnesota's in a precarious position now because they could easily see themselves out of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They need to
Absolutely.
win. They probably need to win all 3 to do it, to at least, because as it stands right now, I'll lay it out for you. The Saints and the Rams are 11-2. Those are your top 2 seeds.
They've already clinched. Yeah,
they've clinched. Yes,
yeah, that's already a given.
They've clinched playoffs, but they haven't clinched buys.
It's almost like a foregone conclusion, though.
Yeah, no, it pretty much is.
How their schedule looks for the next 3 games.
Both of them would need to win basically one more game. So, Chicago and Dallas are next. Chicago's at 9-4. The Cowboys are at 8-5. Then you have Seattle sitting pretty at 5. Again, they would have to lose out basically. They play the 49ers this week too. They'll be a 9-5. They play the Cardinals too. Like they're going to win 2 more games.
That's why I said it's almost like a foregone
They'll finish
conclusion.
10-6 or 11-5. Minnesota's at 6-6-1. They're barely ahead of the 6-7 Panthers, Eagles, and Redskins. And all of a sudden, the Packers are 5-7-1. The Packers are only a game and a half out, and I mean, I know that sounds silly, but they're not completely out of it. Tampa Bay's at 5-8. I think they're done. But again, it gets real murky because Minnesota with 6 losses now, it keeps even the 8 losses teams in the mix at least for one more week. Yeah, man, it's looking brutal. Minnesota, Carolina, Philly, and Washington are basically your next 4, and then Green Bay. I would argue that Green Bay has a better chance than Washington because Washington's done. I mean, that team is a sinking ship. 4 losses in a row. At least the Packers have a good quarterback that might win them a game every once in a while. But Minnesota, man, if they won last night, they would have been comfortable. They play the Dolphins this week. Then they play the Lions. But then they play the Bears. And I don't know if that Week 17 game for the Bears is going to will it mean? We don't know yet. But it could mean something. It could mean something. So if that's the case, I think 2 of their last 3 games are pretty decent. Luckily for them, they play Miami at home. And they play the Bears at home, but they travel to Detroit. Do you think they're going to make the playoffs?
It's to be determined at this point, right?
I think they got to beat Miami. If they lose to Miami, I think they're out.
Yeah, it's not looking too good for them, is it? Because Miami is coming off a miracle win.
Yeah, and
I know that win.
And Miami played a good game. Like they could have lost that game, but they would have lost to the Patriots. It wasn't like they've been playing good football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, you look at the other teams now. The Panthers play the Saints on Monday Night Football. That's not.
I don't think
good.
the Panthers are making the playoffs. I think that they're done.
The Packers are playing the Bears this week. Ugh.
The Bears look like they already clinched this spot too. I think they have the NFC North in the bag.
The Redskins play the Jaguars, which, man, I don't know who's gonna be the team in the NFC that takes that 6th spot. That's tough because it looks like all those teams this week have a tough week. But I think we got to talk about Kirk Cousins a little bit.
Yes, I actually have an interesting stat about him.
Kirk Cousins, the prize free agent of last year. Go ahead with that stat.
He is 4-24 versus teams with a winning record.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he convinced the Vikings to pay him $84 million, completely guaranteed contract. He is 5-13 in primetime games, including 0-7 on Monday Night Football. He has a career of 12, 23, and 2 ties on the road.
Mm-hmm.
This is supposedly an elite quarterback as well.
Yeah. You know what I feel like Kirk Cousins has been with the Vikings? Now, you could turn this around. It's still early.
I know, but would you say disappointing would be the word?
So this is it. You have a friend, Jeff, okay? Let's say
what
you have
are
a friend.
friends?
What's one of your good friends' names?
I can name
Just give me one.
Hudson.
Hudson says, "Hey, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
I have what you've been looking for."
True love?
Play with me.
Okay, what is that?
Would you? Yeah, exactly. What would you say? You'd say, "What is that?" Jeff, I met this girl. She's not my type, but she's exactly what you're looking for. She has everything.
Hello? Is it me you're looking for? I had to.
Jeff, you have everything you need in your life except for this beautiful, amazing, smart woman. Now, who's a beautiful, amazing, smart woman in this story? Kirk Cousins. And you, that has everything going for you, is Minnesota Vikings, right? Because you had a good defense, a good run game, good receivers. You're following with me here?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, Hudson. I'd love to meet her. Cool, Jeff. How about Saturday night? You meet her at the swankiest restaurant in Davis.
I'm sorry, the swankiest? Has anyone used that? Is that a word?
Hold on. Follow
No. I'm going to hold you to that swankiest comment.
Don't throw me off right now.
Right,
I'm on the right track. Meet her at 7 p.m. Okay, Hudson, I'll be there. She shows up. She's all right, but you were so excited. You find her mildly attractive. She's cool, but at the end of the night, you're like, "Yeah, Hudson, I don't know, man. I don't know if she's the one. You know, like I don't know. Like, thanks for trying, but I'm just not sure on her." That's who I think Kirk Cousins is for the Vikings, because he came to them with all this promise. Yes, he was a good quarterback. I really liked him in free agency. He still might be able to be that guy, but I think they got what they didn't want in Kirk Cousins, just another guy, right? They signed him to be a difference maker. They signed him to be better than Case Keenum. They signed him to lead this team not just to the playoffs, Jeff, but maybe a Super Bowl run. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah.
We're talking about a team that barely missed the Super Bowl last year with Case Keenum. They signed Kirk Cousins.
They didn't lose anyone major. I mean, Jarrett McKinnon is probably their biggest loss.
But they got Dalvin Cook back, so they won in that regard. Like they got Cook back. He missed the rest of the season. McKinnon was a backup.
Do you think they should have signed Case Keenum to an extended contract?
I don't.
Question mark?
I don't.
I don't think so either.
But it's kind of like
Did you see those?
It's kind of like when you meet someone. You use dating apps.
Thanks.
But no, it's fine. Everybody does. It's 2018. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Maybe if this was 2006, you want to keep that a secret, but it's not. So
at least I'm not on. I'm on FarmersOnly.com.
Yeah.
I'm on Match.com.
Get Jeff on Farmers
I'm on
Only.
Christian Mingle, even though I'm Jewish. I'm kidding. I'm kidding about everything.
Do they have a Jewish mingle?
They probably do. I think it's called J-Date. It is called J-Date.
Yeah, it is.
I remember seeing a commercial called J-Date. That is a thing.
Yeah, you're right.
You have to pay for that crap, so I don't use it.
They don't offer a free version?
It's like a free trial, and then you have to actually pay. I hate when you have to pay for dating apps. Like, here, you can find your true love. Give us money first.
Basically, where I'm going with this is Kirk Cousins is the profile picture of someone on one of those dating apps, man or woman, where you're going to put the best version of yourself on that picture, and then, reality versus expectations, right? That's that whole argument.
Pretty disappointing to think about, but you have a point.
Yeah, so Kirk Cousins is the pretty girl with the duck face. You know what I'm saying here?
Duck face.
Yeah, duck face is still
I
a
can
thing.
go on a
I thought
rant.
duck face was going to end like 2 or 3 years ago.
I
and
can
it's still a
honestly
thing.
go on a rant about that, but I won't.
But you know what I mean. It's the angle. It's the angle. This girl on the dating app has the right angle for her, the right makeup that day, the right hairstyle, the right glow to her skin. And then you meet her and you're like, yeah, she's pretty, but I'm just, this isn't what I saw on the profile.
That's why you put your most attractive picture on there, so you
I mean, we all do it. Men, women,
children,
women. It doesn't matter. We all do it. We put our best. It's a resume, right? On the resume, you put all the stuff that you mildly participated in.
I also love the fact, like on Tinder, people say I don't do hookups. Tinder is totally the hookup one, and it's just like, what do you think?
It's like on a resume, you're like, I oversaw this incredible academic achievement, which changed the way that the science department was ran forever. And then when you get in the interview, like you get to the job interview and the resume's in front of you, like, yeah, I was an assistant on that job. It's kind of like that.
I can explain.
So what do you think? Are the Vikings regretting paying Kirk Cousins?
As of right now, I think they're going like, maybe.
Did you see Adam Thielen? He got caught on the hot mic yesterday, really mad at Kirk Cousins. He was caught on the hot mic expressing his thoughts.
There was a lot of, inappropriate language?
Yeah, on a football field, yes. But it was just kind of interesting to see him say it. So, anyways, we need to take a break. But before we do that, we got to talk about the holidays, man. During the holidays, it's so stressful going shopping. I know that I dread going to the mall. I do most of my shopping online, but sometimes I like to go out into the real world and, mingle amongst human beings and things like that. But the problem is it can be so stressful. You wait in long lines. It takes, 30 minutes long just to park after you're in the parking lot because of all the people running around doing the same thing as you. But, sometimes when I'm in the car, I like to turn off the radio, listen to an audiobook. Listening to audiobooks inspires me, motivates me. It just calms me down. And there's no better place to listen than Audible. Get your first audiobook free along with 2 selected Audible original titles and exclusive fitness programs when you start a 30-day trial. So take the time to listen on Audible. Just visit audible.com/GMC book. That's audible.com GSMC book, or text GSMC book to 500-500 to get started. Right now, for a limited time, you can get 3 months of Audible for just $6.95 a month. That's more than half off the regular price. Again, you go to audible.com/GSMC book or text GSMC book to 500-500.
What happens to your decision making when you drink? Well, after one drink, you feel confident. A few more, and calling your ex at 1 a.m. seems like a great idea. And you're pretty sure the secret to a great taco is 4-day-old macaroni. The bottom line, drunk you doesn't make great decisions. So you're risking a DUI or worse if you count on him to get you home. Plan before you party. Get home safe. Brought to you by Washington Target Zero.
Oh, yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. Welcome back, that is. We talked about Monday Night Football.
Did you update your dating profile in the break?
What? No. Why would I?
I don't know. I'm just talking about, that kind of stuff.
Oh, I was like, did I need to change it? I thought.
I have no idea.
Okay, whatever. Anyways, we're talking about the NBA now. National Basketball Association, if those who are wondering what the NBA is. And we're going to get right into probably the most, not most important, but most interesting story of the day, and where LeBron and Dwayne Wade face each other for one last time.
Mm-hmm.
And
do we know it's the last time?
Well, they kept saying it was the last time.
Have they already played twice this year?
I think so. And they kept saying it was the last time, so why bother? But it just means, I don't know. They kept saying it was the final time, so I'm just going to agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
Why would they keep lying to me about it's the final time? It's the final countdown.
Oh my God, man. Again?
Dude, that's basically what they were saying for the last
you can't
the whole
sing
game.
this song every day. No one likes
I didn't
that.
talk about it I didn't say it yesterday.
Yeah, you're right. You didn't. Good job. So now you
But
don't have free license to just do it again.
But they kept talking about this is the last time 30 million times during this game. So it was very I got it.
So what happened in the game?
I
give the people what they
all
want to
I
hear,
heard
man.
was this is the last. Every time Dwayne Wade got on the court, he got an ovation. And
what was the score?
Well, the score was, if I remember correctly,
108-105.
Well, you couldn't let me. Wow, thanks. Why are you in such
a
rush?
You got to bring it, man. You got to just bring it sometimes.
You're in a rush about a podcast where it's supposed to give out. Never mind.
I'm not in a rush. I just want you to give the people what they want to hear.
Well, maybe sometimes it's the anticipation.
Yeah, but you got to build it up. You can't just be fumbling around.
Well, whatever.
Anyways,
LeBron James had a double-double, 28 points, 12 assists, almost a triple-double with 9 rebounds.
Very close.
And then Dwayne Wade in his final game against LeBron, 15 points, 10 assists. He had a double-double himself as well. Illuminati.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Dwayne Wade's been pretty good this year off the bench.
Yeah,
he's been a nice role player.
I think that's what he was meant to be throughout this.
Yeah, I mean
season.
he's older now.
This was his going away party type of thing, and everyone was like, okay, he's not what he used to be. Obviously,
I almost wish he could go to a better team for a playoff run.
He already has a couple of championships.
I know, but I would like to see him play. Wouldn't it be cool to see him, I don't know, help a Milwaukee or someone like that, a team that has a decent chance, but maybe he can give those 20 minutes a game off the bench that a team could really use, That'd be cool. I like Dwayne Wade. He's one of the best NBA players of this generation. He's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's a great player. And a good guy, too. Incredibly gifted athlete, but he really took care of himself throughout his career.
He's only had one or two major injuries. One major injury.
Yeah, he's had bad knees though. His knees have been pretty messed up for almost a decade now. To be honest, he took a lot of punishment when he was younger, early in the NBA. But he kind of transformed his game. I remember his rookie year, his first couple years in the NBA. He'd take so many hits in the lane, and then he developed that little runner to the hoop instead of going hard to the rack every single time and getting beat up, which was nice to see. But man, the Lakers have been doing really well. They're 17-10. They've won
Shocker,
7 of their
LeBron's
last
team
10.
is doing well.
We heard news that Trevor Ariza was a target for them to trade. That's a rumor that they're looking to add him and maybe send Kentavious Caldwell-Pope out of Los Angeles. Where do you see this? Do you think this could be a positive move for the Lakers, or what's your view?
I think more or less that this is going to be LeBron's just trying to get any young talent he can to win and try to win as fast as possible type of thing. So he's he can keep his almost NBA Finals appearance streak alive, I feel like. Because I think he also knows that if he gets to the finals, if he gets through Golden State, he has the best chance of winning the championship in the last 5 years.
If he can get through Golden State, right?
If he can get through Golden State.
That's the operative word, if. So here's my deal. I think Trevor Ariza is really good. Mm-hmm. And I think that Rockets are kicking themselves every single day for getting rid of him because he was an unsung hero for that team. He was the glue for that team. He was their best wing defender. His presence allowed guys like Harden to use more energy on the offensive end while he raised the level of their team defense and could hit shots. And I think the Rockets missed that so much. And if you look at their record, it proves it right there. For the Lakers, it's hard for me to see where Ariza fits in with them. And I'll say it like this. He's a 3. He's a small forward. Who plays in that position? LeBron. Who else plays in that position? Brandon Ingram. Then you got a guy like Kuzma at the 4. I don't know where Ariza fits in. I don't think he starts on this team. Now, with that being said, I guess he could start. I guess you could play LeBron at the 2, Ariza at the 3. No, you really can't, though, because then Ingram is the odd man out. So I have no idea. Does he give them flexibility? Yes. But I feel like Lance Stevenson is that bench wing defender already on the team that provides kind of what Ariza would be. Not that they're the same exact player, but they do kind of fulfill the same sort of role. So I don't know if this is the right fit. It just doesn't make too much sense to me. Also, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is the player that's being talked about as the one guy who would be traded back, whether it's to Phoenix or to a third team, that is yet to be determined. But he might be their Lakers' best three-point shooter. And we're talking about a team that isn't the best three-point shooting basketball team. I'm sorry, but it's really hard to win basketball games in the NBA if you can't shoot threes. We talk about the Lakers all the time. When they shoot under 35%, they usually lose. When they shoot over from 3, they usually win. That's just the way that the NBA is. It's not just them. But I don't know how getting Ariza and giving up Caldwell-Pope makes the Lakers better, even though Ariza is a better basketball player than Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
Yeah, I agree with you. Cardell
Seems
Pope.
like there's a logjam there at forward. Like who doesn't get minutes?
There's too many.
Stevenson doesn't play or what? Like that's where I'm confused.
Well, the thing is, when you have LeBron, who is the best forward in basketball, he's not going to go off the court a lot, and that really leaves limited time for every other forward on the team. So you got to kind of overstack your bench with guards to play around LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can add a couple more centers, too, than you normally would also. You just basically build the team around the 3 spot, around LeBron's spot.
Mm-hmm.
So you need power forwards, you need centers, you need shooting guards and point guards.
And Josh Hart and Caldwell-Pope are basically the only 2 guards that shoot the 3.
Yeah, that's why they're going after Ariza. Thank you.
But Ariza doesn't. He's not a guard, though. That's the thing, is that he's definitely a 3.
But they're gonna move him to a guard spot, most likely.
Maybe. It's interesting, because then you kind of push Ingram or Kuzma to the bench.
Or they're gonna have him play more like LeBron's minutes and make LeBron rest some more. I'm not sure what the plan is.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, you'll push a guy like Josh Hart or Brandon Ingram to the bench, and I don't know if this is the best move. What else happened in the NBA? I saw that the Bulls came out pretty tough last night against the Kings. They had a 12-point lead at halftime following that near mutiny that they had on Sunday. But then
it's probably still going to happen.
But then the cookie crumbled, man. 33 points. The Bulls scored 56 in the first half and ended the game with 89. They only scored 33 points in the second half. The Kings rallied big time to win 108-89. De'Aaron Fox scored 23 of his 25 in the second half. The Clippers and the Suns had an interesting game that went to overtime. Clippers pull away 123-119, but man, that's a tough game by the Suns. You don't really expect them to.
The Suns haven't really competed that hard in this season at all, and Ayton had a 20-point, 12-rebound game, like stuff that you expect from a number 1 pick. And then Doncic being Doncic in a 101-76 rout of the Magic.
Good job, Magic, for showing up.
They didn't really, but yes. Doncic didn't have like a great game, but he still had 7 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, which is a pretty stellar game regardless.
He's a good player.
Yeah.
What about the Warriors? they win 116-108. Minnesota, give credit to them.
Wait,
they
the
really
Warriors
showed up.
won a game? Unheard of.
You got to give Minnesota credit, though. They kept it close and kept it competitive. They're only losing by 8 on the road. That's pretty good.
Yeah, Curry had 38 points with 7 of his shots coming from three-point range. So 21 of his 38 were three-pointers.
Chef Curry?
Stop it.
I don't know why you like good nicknames. Like, why don't you like good nicknames?
Chef Curry, how is that a good nickname?
Because he's a chef, and Drake said it.
So you're going to just take everything Drake says is good?
No, but it's pop culture relevant.
Whatever.
Sometimes you just got to, talk to people.
And Derrick Rose off the bench for the Wolves had 21 points. He might get comeback player of the year. Or
he could get most improved.
Most improved. I guess that's how the word is.
I still think he's a second placer right now.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen people give their opinions on these early season awards, and most people have Fox over Rose for most improved. But you never know. Derrick Rose has been playing great. It's awesome to see him back. If we forget how good he was, like some people just forget. It seems like it's been a long time, and it has been a long time. How about the Pacers? They continue their winning ways, 109-101 against the Wizards. 17-10 now for Indiana. That's a pretty good record, right?
Yeah.
They're solidifying their spot as one of the top 5, top 6 teams. Hey, but how about those Boston Celtics, Jeff? This team has won 6 in a row now. They were struggling early. They may have figured it out. Remember we talked about we just need to give them more time. Maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe they have.
Maybe. Maybe not. But maybe. Probably, actually.
Hayward didn't play, but Morris did, 31 points. Nice game for him. Tatum had 21 and 6.
Randall had 20 points himself, 11 rebounds. He got a double-double. For the Pelicans.
Randall's
Julius
been
Randle.
a nice addition for them.
Yeah. Julius Randle, if he was on the Lakers, they would be a better team, honestly.
Maybe. I understand why they got rid of him, though.
Yeah, but
Kuzma's a better fit for them.
You can talk about most improved. Julius Randle might be the most improved.
They had to get rid of Randall, though, to make all the moves that they needed to make, so I get it. But he's been a great find for the Pelicans. I mean, he's giving Anthony Davis, what is he averaging? He's got to be averaging upper teen. Yeah, 19 and 9. So he's giving you 19 and 9 next to your best player, who Davis, for example, had 41 last night. I mean, when you can have a night where you get 61 points, you should win that game. Now, they lost that game because the rest of their team, quite frankly, didn't shoot well. When you look at the stats, really nobody had any notable game shooting the basketball. But normally that's a nice little recipe. Get 61 points from your bigs, and then you should win. But they did not last night.
And Davis also shot 2 threes, missed them both, but still was gutsy enough to shoot threes.
Mm-hmm. Who do we miss? Nuggets continue to be one of the best storylines in the NBA. 105-99 over Memphis. 18-9 for
Something we
Denver.
did not expect this season at all.
Jokic had a nice little game last night. 27, 12, and 6 from your center.
The Nuggets they moved down to third place, and first is surprisingly the Thunder.
Yeah, who beat the Jazz, right?
Mm-hmm. But
Jokic
they started off pretty bad, too.
I want to talk about Jokic for a second. He had 27 points on 14 shots last night, 12 rebounds and 6 assists. This guy, man, I know that I'm not saying he's the MVP, but I think it's time to start talking about him as one of the best players in the NBA. Not just a best player.
Ooh, bold statement.
Not just a best player on the team. Man, this is a center averaging 17, 10, and 8.
Well, you didn't have to drop your phone like that easy. You don't want to break
That's
it.
amazing.
But
17, 10, and 8 from your center.
And like you said, he's probably the best player on a great team.
One of the best passers in the NBA, too.
Yeah, he's one of the best players on one of the best teams in the NBA, so that makes him one of the best players in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
It's a foregone conclusion.
He's just never talked about. He's buried in Denver.
He's incredibly quiet, too.
He's not a big personality. He's in Denver. They're not really a notable franchise. He's not going to get talked about. I totally get why the hype isn't there, but people should realize that, man, this guy out west, out in Denver, is a really good player.
Mm-hmm. But again, they're in Denver, and that's not a big market, a big publicity market, at least.
Speaking of small markets, the Bucks beat the Cavaliers 108-92. I think that's pretty normal. Bucks are good. Cleveland's not.
Hey, can I say something funny?
Yes.
Do you remember we were talking about Stephen Curry, how he thought the landing on the moon was a hoax?
Mm-hmm.
NASA invites Stephen Curry to tour lunar lab after moon landing comments.
That's pretty good.
The NASA Twitter is actually pretty funny.
Let's talk about that in more detail after we go to a quick break.
Yes. Hold on to your hats, folks. This is about to get wild.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back, everyone, to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We're going to go right into the wild side of what just happened on Twitter as NASA invites Stephen Curry to the lunar areas or lunar labs, excuse me. And
did we talk about this yesterday on this podcast though, about how Steph Curry insinuated? Should I say insinuated? Did he actually say that he thought the moon landing was fake, or did he just insinuate it?
Okay, so it was on a podcast with Vince Carter and his teammate Andre Iguodala, and his comment was, "quote We ever been to the moon? Question mark. Multiple responders. So this is like multiple guys in the podcast. Nope. And quote from Curry, they're gonna come get us. I don't think so either. But why would we fake? You know what? There's tons of people that think that also. You know, there's a video of someone going up to Armstrong in his face and goes, "You're a liar. You're a scam artist," and stuff like. You're really in a guy who's like in his 60s and 70s who's been a NASA space astronaut, and you're going to tell me he's a liar and a fake? Like, he's obviously going to hit you, and he did. Mm-hmm. I just don't like it when people go into the face of a man that. Or
what's up with the NBA players and conspiracies?
You mean Kyrie Irving and his flat Earth comments?
Research flat Earth.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, but have you ever YouTubed flat Earth?
Why would I? There's a lot of people.
No, it's just a thing that people say.
No, there's a Twitter of a flat Earth society.
I don't know. Why don't you just educate yourself and research flat Earth?
I saw something on Twitter, or may have been Instagram, of the Flat Earth Society's account. And it says, we have members all around the world.
What's that that gif of
do you understand what he said, around the world, though?
I see.
As in, it's a sphere.
Get it? It's a circle. What about Weird Al when he said, what's that gif where it's the Weird Al Yankovic gif where it seems a little crazy? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, Steph Curry, not sure if he landed on the moon. Why doesn't he go up there and try and hit a 3 while he's on the moon? I know why he wouldn't do it. You know why, Jeff? There's no gravity, bro. There's no gravity. He'd shoot it and it wouldn't go in. It would just keep going. No gravity.
Well, does gravity mean what do we mean by flat?
Fun fact: sports on the moon would suck.
Shoots for a 3 and the ball's in Mars.
Catch us next week when we get another basketball.
They're talking about colonizing Mars, so we might have a Mars basketball team.
You know who's not going to Mars?
Welcome to Super Bowl 66 on Mars.
I'll tell you who's not going to Mars because he's staying at Michigan. Jim Harbaugh.
Yes, he says he's staying. He quoted in exclamation points also, "I'm staying at Michigan," which is pretty obvious.
So then you know what that means. A week from today, Harbaugh signs deals to be new Browns head coach.
No? I don't think he's Nick Saban yet.
No.
No, like
No.
well, Nick Saban was like, "I'm not going to Alabama," and then goes to Alabama. What?
No, that was what's his name? Bobby Petrino.
Bobby Petrino. Joe Paterno. Sorry, Bobby Petrino.
Bobby Petrino. I'm not. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, a week later, it's Pig
Nick,
Suey or whatever he was saying.
Nick Saban did the same thing though. Nick Saban kept saying he wasn't going to Alabama when he was head coach of Miami.
Nick Saban. Nobody remembers his terrible time.
You know
in the
they
NFL.
were favored to go to the Super Bowl that year before he left.
You also know that they decided not to give a contract to Drew Brees because they were scared of his shoulder. Instead, they signed Dante Culpepper, and Drew Brees went to New Orleans. Isn't that something?
Dun, dun, dun. Illuminati.
You see that Alabama Crimson Tide had 4 players on the All-American team. Isn't that something?
Yeah, it is something.
You want to know something crazy, though? Kentucky had 2. That's interesting. Let's
It
see.
is interesting. Well, they were kind of a surprise this season, all due respect.
Yeah, the Tide placed 2 players on each side of the ball. Quinnen Williams, Jerry Jeudy, Jonah Williams, and Deontay Thompson.
Shout out to my friend Jonah Williams, who actually I was friends with at Davis High School before he went to Folsom. I didn't talk to him since, but he was still one of the boys.
Tua made the second team. Ohio State was...
That's kind of shocking. I understand why he's second team because Heisman
you got to
got
put the Heisman on the first team.
Can you imagine if the Heisman winner was like third team All-American? Like
Dwayne Haskins was the third team quarterback. He was the third Heisman candidate. Also, the Kansas City Royals signed super speedster center fielder Billy Hamilton. Is that a good move?
it's always good.
Can run, man. Didn't he set the record for minor league stolen bases in a career or something?
Something
He had like
that.
8,000 stolen bases.
I'm pretty sure that's wrong.
4 million stolen bases he had.
Still think that's not correct.
Do you think that when Billy Hamilton's at home, that he puts bases around the house and just
Were you
runs
thinking
to
of
them?
these jokes as soon as he got signed yesterday? Were you writing these down?
Do you know how fast he is?
I know he's fat. And by the way, in baseball, if you get a guy with that much speed, that is a huge boost to your team. But the Royals are so far down in the dumps right now that I don't think this is going to help them in the slightest.
It's only a 1-year deal, so he might not be there for long, but he's so fast, man.
They might have just used him to get a trade. You know what I mean? Sometimes they get these big signings so they can trade for something bigger in the middle of the season.
I want to see teams employ that old school center fielder again. The one who's just super fast, that gets on base, bats leadoff, gets on base. Somebody who could steal 50 bases in a year. Come on, man. Let's see. I like Billy Hamilton. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Anyways, are we done here?
I think we are.
Well, Hamilton just stole another base.
See, there's no baseball going on right now.
Yeah, that's true. If he ran on the moon, would he just fly in outer space? Like if he tried running, would he just
So you're saying
if he
he's
wasn't
so
tied?
fast he would just fly off into space?
Yeah.
Because
I know you bounce.
Okay, we're gonna leave
All right,
because
anyways.
I'm getting kind of grossed out by your love for Billy Hamilton.
He's just good, man.
Yeah, but thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Tune in tomorrow. We'll be talking about things in sports that happened today. Hopefully, there'll be some more news. So we have a show to talk about, but we will see you tomorrow.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.